In this video, I'll show you how to assemble this rotary wheel. It's pretty basic, but it's a good starting point for us for working on assemblies. So we'll start a new assembly. Now I have, if you go to the bottom here, you'll see I have all my parts. There's only 3 parts, but I have them down. All the parts are open, so I have those available to me. So you'll notice when you fire this up, it already has those parts listed that I have open. If not, you can go in here and browse. Now you always want to start, let's close that for a second. So first thing you do is go insert components and then start with the main piece. So don't start with the bolt, for example. Start with the wheel itself would be the best starting point. And as long as you're okay with that orientation, which it's fine, just click it and we have our first part on there. Now for subsequent parts, I suggest you try to, when you bring them in, try to orient them as close as you can to their final situation so you don't have to fight revolving and moving parts around to make them fit. So we'll put another component in here and we'll do the knob next, and let's check that orientation, and that's pretty much what we want in terms of orientation. So I'll click that and let's go ahead and put some constraints on that. So we use this mate tool up here, which is pretty smart. If you click on what features you click on, it'll be able to tell what you want to do as long as you choose correctly. Otherwise you can tell it what you're trying to do if there's some confusion about what kind of mate that you want. So this is blue, so what you're looking for is your mates. Now if you have circular parts, try to use center lines. That's the easiest way to constrain things. So if I click on that in there, I'll get the center line of that ID, and that fits on this piece here. So I'll click on the OD of that, and that'll get my center line, and it moves the part into place. If you're happy with it, just give it a green check mark, and we can see what we have here is let me just close that for a second. It's on the center line, but obviously it's not fully constrained yet. So what I'll need to do is add some constraints, and that'll be by using those surfaces there. So go to mate, I'll click on that back surface there. Now notice the difference how it highlights when you're choosing a surface, as opposed to, like, I'm not just choosing that circle, I'm actually choosing that surface. And green check mark and say okay. So now that is pretty much fixed. Now it still would be able to revolve, but I don't really care about that. In fact, that's part of how that works, is that knob should be able to spin. Let's go ahead and add the final piece, which is the bolt. Now this is backwards, so don't just go ahead and place it on there because you're going to have to move it around anyway. So use these tools here, and you can see if I click it around the Y, that's a better orientation for me. So I'll just click it and go with that. So we want to constrain that. Now with the threads, it's difficult to actually click on the threads and use that as a mating surface. So with a bolt, you can use, in this case I could use this diameter of the head, or you can even use that small diameter of the chamfer to give you a center line, because again we'll start with center lines for mates. So we'll choose that outer diameter there, and then I'll choose any one of these diameters is fine, and say okay. Now you might think it's fully constrained, but it's not. Again, it's just constrained to the center marks or center lines. So now we're going to use this back surface here, and we'll use that mating surface inside the knob right there, and say okay, and that's mated. Now you'll see you could still spin this around, but we don't really care about that. If you needed to remove that ability to spin, that's something different. We could do that with some work plans. So there's our assembly. Again, it's a pretty simple, straightforward assembly, but that's a good starting point for us. So we'll save that. Now let's put it on a drawing sheet. And we should be able to fit this on a B-size paper just fine. So let's close that, go to my view palette, and just find that assembly. It's right there, assembly 2. Now what you're looking for with an assembly is not orthographics. Typically what we're looking for is a really good isometric view that shows all the parts. Sometimes you may have to make your own view. So you can try some of these and see what they look like. Let's pull that one out. It's okay. That one works. It's kind of at a weird angle. Let's delete that. Let's make our own view. So just open up that assembly and orient it the way you want it to look. Like what's your best option for a view, and maybe something like that. And let's go back to our drawing sheet, open up the view palette and refresh it, and then the view that's labeled current will be the one we just created. I like that. That's a good view. Scale's a bit off. Now I'm just going to put one view on there. I'm not going to do any other views. I think because of the nature of this, I am going to make it larger though. Let's go to a 2:1, see how that looks. That's probably pretty good. In fact, I'm going to shade this just so we can see what's going on. Alright, so there's my assembly. Let's go ahead and add balloons onto that. So we'll go up here to where it says auto balloon. Click on that, and then it'll put balloons on there. Now you can make changes as to way the balloons are attached and so forth. Sometimes this faces works a lot better than the edges as far as attaching. You can see the differences, how the arrows attach, how those leaders. So I kind of like using faces. And you may want to kind of move them around a little so they look like, see how this crisscrosses over here. We can just move that over here closer so it just looks a lot better. Okay, again, we only have 3 parts to deal with. And now let's add a parts list. So go up here to tables, and we want to bill of material. And all you have to do is click that check mark, and then bill. The parts list always goes right here, right on top of the title block. Don't put it anywhere else. It goes right there. It should be able to click onto that pretty good, and that identifies each of the parts and the names. Now I didn't use very good drawing numbers, but that's okay for now. And there is our assembly drawing. So you're going to want to put the title and your name and so forth in there, but that's how you make assembly model. And then that's how you make an assembly drawing.